Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This is the September Town Hall. My name is Chris Netto. I am your host. I'm joined today by Mr. Neil Weber from Starin. How are you, Neil?
Great.
Doing good?
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I've been looking forward to this all month.
Awesome. And joining us from Advanced Network Devices, we have Dan Gorski, who is the Channel Marketing Manager, and Mr. Sean Lance, Product Line Manager. And I'd like to start off by having you guys explain a little bit about what you guys do for A&D and what your roles and responsibilities are. So if you don't mind, Dan, we'll start with you.
Sure, yeah, I'm Channel Marketing Manager. My role is basically to support the channel in terms of marketing, making sure they have all they need to go out to the customers with the best information, understanding what our messaging is for the products, as well as what solutions we can provide. We have a whole training program we've put together that we are making available to our dealers, our channel partners, that we have been doing in person as well as via video. So that's one of the ways that we're going out there, just giving them all kinds of details on how our devices integrate, what kind of messaging you can pick up on from the customers when they're looking for things in terms of selling your devices, how they work, just the ins and outs of the actual product. So we have a whole training program for that. If you're interested, definitely let us know. We have a new line card we just put out, which has all of our products in it, and so if you want to ever have a demo with us, if your sales team wants to have a demo with us, we can put together a whole demo, and we can send you some of these line cards, which are really useful when you're talking to the customer, having a conversation about our devices. So that's basically what I do, is kind of get those messages out to the channel.
Sounds great. Sean, what is your role and responsibility with A&D?
Yes, as the product line manager, I can have a hand in all the day-to-day operations as far as production, from new design, new product introductions, to the ongoing production line, even into tech support and other support operations. So, been with the company for many a year, and just supporting it throughout the day, day-to-day operations here.
Sounds great. Well, real quick, since I forgot to do this at the very, very beginning, if you guys have anybody in the audience is listening, this is a town hall. So as part of our town hall, our format is, if you give us questions, we will continue. If you don't give us questions, we're not going to continue. We may go under protest. We encourage you guys to please provide us some questions. That's what we're here for. We have the right gentleman here from A&D. I will now turn this over to Neil, who will be doing the moderation of questions and Q&A and getting a deeper dive into what it is that A&D can help and provide you with. So Neil, the floor is yours.
Guys, we're going to jump right in with the some heavy questions here, so I hope you're ready.
Okay.
The first one, let's start with, you know what, actually, let's go a little less heavy to give a little bit background. Here's another question. I'll start with this one. Why go with an IP-based paging system?
IP is on the network, so all the devices are individual endpoints. They're easier to control, they're easier to manage. You can direct messaging to a room, a wing, a campus, specific areas. It's great for the IT department to sort of keep track of what devices are working. When you have speakers that are like some of the more traditional speakers, you can have old wiring that will go out. You won't know that it's gone out, and you'll have speakers work some days and not other days. We've heard that a lot from people running schools and hospitals, that they'll have old speakers that just kind of go out and they don't know when they're going to go out. So that's one of the advantages, is that these IP devices, you'll know immediately when it goes out. You can keep track of it diagnostically, and even set up a message that can go out. Like if something goes down, you can get a message in the IT department like this device has gone down. So it's that immediate in terms of just managing the system, but also these devices are all SIP devices. So it will work with VoIP and SIP phones, integrates very easily. Can you think of any other advantages?
Yeah, I think that, like you said, the flexibility there to address all sorts of groups is great. And as you said, there's a lot of ability to back up all the devices as far as power, easily off of one switch. Again, the devices are all PoE based, so you're really simple cabling going to each device. You don't need to run separate electrical lines out to the product, separate from your communications channel. It's all in one with your basic Cat5 cable. So it makes it really easy to install the devices as well.
So saving time, saving money, and a better overall experience. Sounds like a great solution. We can stop right here.
Yeah.
No, here's a great question. Are all products single wire compliant?
Yes, absolutely. Yep, right out of the box. Single Wire has been a partner of ours for a long time, and we work with them whenever we have new products coming out. We work with them to make sure that they're all going to work and that they're going to come up on their system automatically. And we're really proud of our relationship with Single Wire.
Good. I like this one. How easy is it to manage the actual devices, such as sending alerts, etc., to the devices installed in a school or wherever it may be installed?
The great thing about our devices is we are compatible with a lot of different third-party software, enterprise level, as well as our own in-house software packages IP clockwise. So we give you a lot of flexibility about how to connect to our product. Besides that, we can also entertain custom solutions. So, we're using HTTP, we're using SNMP, a lot of different technologies in order to access the devices and send alerts and messaging to them. So there's a lot of options there. We support a lot of different audio streaming formats. So all that compatibility adds up to a lot of great integrations with what you got.
And the other advantage is, it's very easy to create messaging. Like, depending on what your software is, obviously it's going to be done a different way. But the messaging itself is text, it's audio, and as long as it depends on how you want to configure your system, you can set up all your typical types of alerts ahead of time, and then with a push of a button, the person who's administrating it, even if it's an office manager or somebody in the head office, can go ahead and call those alerts up on the fly. It's also easy to change messaging, so to adjust the text for the situation. So it's a matter of just pulling it up and actually typing in the new message and pressing send. In a lot of cases, it's just that easy. The other piece is that you can, because it interacts with phones, you can take you can take pages from phones and you can have them broadcast across other devices in the network that way.
Very simple, very handy. There's two Clockwise related questions here. Does Clockwise software include unlimited seats? Is one question.
Yeah, as far as our licensing model right now, we can continue to give out as many licenses as are needed for the install site. There's no limit to that.
And it does come automatically with the device, so there's no extra fee for that basic Clockwise.
That was another
application.
Question. Thanks for
yeah, there's no
ahead.
fee, and it basically, Clockwise does run very easily in conjunction with all of those other softwares, so there's no interference. A lot of times Clockwise can actually add functionality that maybe the other software can't do, depending on which one you have already installed. The other thing is, regarding, I had another thought and it's just escaped me, just came out of my head like that. Regarding the interacting with the, okay, I'll think of it later. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I believe me, I'm there. I'm right there with you. Oh, this is good. What is the Power over Ethernet power budget for the devices?
Okay, so yeah, we start with the devices all are going to be looking for your standard 15 watt from the switch, so 12 watt, 12.9 watts out of the device. They're going to want that full PoE bandwidth available, that much power, because of if you're doing high volume audio alerts, if you're going to utilize the indicators flashers on the device, things like that all require a certain amount of power. So we're using the standard PoE. You can also use PoE Plus, and we actually take advantage of that additional power, and we could do louder audio, more peripherals if you're hanging off some third-party peripherals from the device as well. So that's your basic standard PoE is what we're looking at.
Gotcha. And then another question was, what's the advantage of PoE Plus over PoE? And you gave one good tangible difference there, certainly more power.
Right. Yes, yeah, that's your primary thing. You're going to get more audio output if you really need to blast it in particular areas. Maybe there's a high ambient noise area that you want to really get a louder message out. That would be the primary reason to go to PoE Plus.
Gotcha. Well, this is a good one. Will you continue to develop clockwise, or are you moving towards integration partners only?
We're going to continue to do both. We're actually going to be continuing to meet with partners like SingleWire and Synapse, Sistera, some of the others that as they make adjustments. We just added some functionality to ConnectAll a couple months ago because a customer needed it. If a customer needs it, we want to work with these companies to make sure they get what they need. But we are developing some new things in Clockwise as well, which is going to help work some of the functionality of our new HD display, as well as Alexa capability, which we're also working on.
Yeah, and like Dan said, Clockwise can always run alongside our third-party partners, so it's easy to use them in tandem, and we often use it too for, if there's any troubleshooting or initial installation help that's needed. A lot of times IP Clockwise is very helpful in that initial bring up, discovering the devices on the network, things like that, so we use that as well.
The other thing I want to mention briefly, and anything that we're still sort of working on, but there's a little heads up, that we are starting to think about ways to make Clockwise easier for people to use individually with their devices. So let's say you have, an IT department that wants to manage the network. They're going to maybe use Clockwise to do that. But then you have the administrator who only wants to do certain things like paging and send emergency alerts. Then they will have their own way to do that via Clockwise. And then the third piece, which we're trying to also work on, is for the teacher in the classroom to be able to do specific things with the device in their room to make it easier for them. So we will be having a solution for that relatively soon.
Very nice. Of course, in my heart, advanced network devices is the only choice, but someone did ask, what advantage does advanced network device have over the other IP addressable speakers and clocks that are out there?
Okay, so, we have a couple of things that really make us stand out. Our most important thing that we always like to show off is our displays. We really do have the best displays. Our LED, let me back up a second, just point out that because we are an all engineering company, not only are we proud of our power, control and how the devices are being engineered to be as efficient as possible, but you can scroll in any direction. It will look crisp and clear. It's multicolored. A lot of our competitors don't have that many colors to choose from, and you cannot mix colors as easily. And then the other piece is that we have a lot of different sizes available for different size rooms. And then, of course, our newest addition to that display is our HD display, which is going to be, it's going to be basically an automotive grade LCD screen. And so because of that, it's going to be well equipped to function for many years. It's the actual material that we're using for the LCD is very high quality, like the rest of our devices. And it will also have an RGB flashing indicator, so that flasher will be able to be any color in the rainbow. And so you can customize your messages not only because of this HD look that you might be seeing on your screen right now, you can get high-res images on there. So you can have maps, you can have medical imaging, you can put up photos of people in your organization, and you can do so in a similar way that you've done with all of our other devices, except now if they're showing an Instagram feed of all the, the soccer players for that month, and there's an emergency, then it will be interrupted like all our other devices, because of priority with an emergency alert or instructions on something going on. So it's going to basically function exactly like our other devices, except with a super high resolution display.
Displays.
So that the display is really our biggest thing that we like to tout. The other thing that we actually get a lot of good feedback on is our support. You know, I mentioned that I'm here to provide a lot of marketing support. We have B. Zarnik is our channel sales manager. She is very hands-on in terms of providing support to our integrators and our installers and making sure that they have all they need to go to the customer. We also interact with the customer when they have things that they need. And then we also have a technical support team that has gotten a lot of very positive feedback that they're always on it. They always want to be able to. In fact, Sean sometimes is manning the phones. So you have a problem, you know, something's going on with a device or an install or configuration, or you want to do something special, you call our tech support team and they'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention too is what sets us apart too is, you know, we're all U.S. based.
Oh, right.
We're in the Midwest, so you're from design to build to support. We're all here in the U.S. In the Midwest, and so that's a great against some of our competitors. Yeah.
Great news. This question could very well have come from Sean's boss, but I know it didn't. But I'll read it. You'll see if you identify with it. When will HD displays be on all devices?
Well, that's kind of a marketing question too, but we'll be introducing the HD display.
Yeah, it's going to be available. It's going to basically going to be available for sale starting January 1st, 2020. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback already from demonstrating it at the GSX trade show a couple weeks ago. We've been obviously showing it off to our partners like Starin and Single Wire and getting their feedback to make sure that it's got everything it's going to need. And so we've really concentrated a lot of effort to not only making sure it has all the robust capabilities that we like to deliver, but also that it's an engineering, you know, quality piece of engineering. So it's going to be very efficient with its power. It is PoE, so this device is going to be run off of a single Ethernet cable. And we showed off the brightness I think at 50% maybe at the trade show, and it still felt like really bright. So it's a quality display. So I guess the point is that because we feel like it's going to have a good impact from the start, that will give us reason to start looking at some other form factors and some other areas where we can maybe provide the HD, you know, for different types of functionality, different sizes and things like that.
Gotcha. Great answer. Earlier, you mentioned some training, and a couple people have asked, do you offer any training on your projects and products? And if so, how do they access the training? Who do they get into touch with for, let's say, a full team training at a particular, I think that what he's referencing is how can I get my team fully trained and immersed in A&D?
Yes, I mean, we have 6 modules that we've created. It's about 2 hours of training all in. Actually, it could be 4 hours if there's questions, but it goes all the way from, you know, the basic introduction to mass notification all the way into configuration files and diagnostics. So it covers the whole thing. We will generally tailor those modules to the group. So if it's a sales group, they're not going to want to know how to configure the device necessarily. We'll focus more on the things, you know, on the voice of the customer and the types of deals that they can possibly put together. So my point is that it's very customizable, and so depending on if they wanted to go to a whole team or just a couple of people, we are available to do that anytime. They would just contact me. I could set it up very easily via webinar anytime. If we are putting together a trip, as we are doing some trips around and we can schedule it while we're in town, that's obviously even better. There's a couple of areas that are really growing in terms of, well, just in terms of like education, like the states that spend more on schools, we want to focus on those, and 2 of the big ones are Texas and California. So if you're in Texas or California, there's a good chance that you'll see someone from our team in the next couple of months. And so we should definitely plan on coming into your place and getting your sales team trained. So I guess the short answer is contact me. We can talk about exactly what you're looking for and then set up a time and get it done.
We at Starin can certainly help with that as well as let you know what the tour schedule is going to be. Man, great questions. Oh, is there a place to see a demo of the Clockwise software?
We could do that. We could do one-off demos on that for sure. We do have a video on our website that is sort of a very high-level introduction to Clockwise. So if you go into our website under our products, I believe there's under Clockwise, IP Clockwise there, and that has a little video, that has a short video. But if you want more of a hands-on demonstration, then definitely reach out to us and we'll schedule that with you via webinar.
Gotcha. Mark is showing where it's, you can see a quick video on the A&D website.
Mm-hmm.
We'll also
and speaking of the website,
we'll also recap some of these links that we're referencing in a email out to everybody that's joined us today and everybody that's RSVP'd. So don't worry about having to try to write something down quickly or take a screenshot. We'll send you these links. Go ahead.
So I just want to point out, since we are looking at the website, that under practical uses, the first tab on the left there, we have a couple of different pages that are really good sort of introductory capabilities for our devices. And if you're out there, with a customer and you kind of want to get the customer a feel for what our devices can do, you might be able to find something on one of those pages to just show them while you're there, and that they'll get the idea from seeing the device in action. So that's just something to consider.
Perfect. Very helpful. Here's another good one. Can you display time when displaying a message?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, actually, you do it top and bottom, I think, right? Yeah. So you can choose to show the time and then have the message scroll on the top or below the time, and it'll just, when the message is done, the time will go back to whatever state it was before that.
Got it. Here's a question. I see you have quite a few button options. Can you explain where each would be used?
Button kit.
Oh, the buttons, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So we have, we've got our standard wall plate button, which attaches to our devices. It's used as a trigger. You can pretty much configure it to trigger anything. You can trigger an alert, but in most cases people will use it to trigger a phone call, so you can use it to call the head office, or you can trigger it to buzz someone in. It can basically do anything because it's basically connecting to our device, and then whatever our device can do as far as notifications or actions, that button can initiate. Now we have a panic button, which is directly attached to the network. It is a PoE device. It is a SIP device. So that we generally use for situations where you want to maybe, again, in a panic, initiate a couple of silent alerts. We have a school down in Texas that is basically locking all the doors in the facility and sending a pre-recorded message to the police station in less than a second by using that button, because the button's able to send off all those alerts over the network immediately. The teacher or administrator just presses the button, holds it for, I believe, 5 seconds, something like that. They've configured it. And once they get to that 5-second mark, everything's launched, and the teacher doesn't have to worry about it. They don't have to pick up a phone and make any calls or anything. They can deal with the children if it's in a worst case scenario. But we also have had people use that for, in banks and in distribution centers and places where maybe they'll have people come in that sometimes they need to alert someone that there's a situation developing, and maybe at a nurse station someone's getting violent. That's a nice silent alert because, again, it connects directly to the network. The third kind of button, I'm not sure if it's on there yet, actually, but it'll be coming out soon, is going to actually also have a microphone, and that'll be for our new ceiling IP speaker, a round one. It's basically, you can have a call and you can speak directly to the button plates, as opposed to having the microphone in the speaker. So it just makes it easier for a two-way conversation.
Here's a good question about the panic button. Can your panic button trigger an audio file like lockdown message to play over the speakers?
Absolutely, yes, for sure. Yeah, you can have a number of alerts triggered by that button. Basically, you daisy chain them and they all go off at the same time. But yeah, you can. Some people want everybody to know that there's an alert, and some people want it to be silent. But yeah, you can definitely have messaging, and you can have. And the other thing is, you can have specific messaging for the device. So if you're in hallway A, you may want people to go down the stairs. If you're in hallway B, you may want them to stay put. So once you work out that security and emergency protocol for the location, each device can be individually configured to react to those kinds of alerts.
Got it. Thank you. In future product releases, will the weight of the devices start to drop?
I don't think we've had that question, have we?
No, that's new. Currently, it's not scheduled to change, but yeah, we use solid, different steel constructions for most of the products for durability, ruggedness and such. So that's not currently slated to change.
Yeah, that's kind of one of our sort of marketing messages is the steel gauge on the faces and the mounts that holds it are all hefty quality steel. We feel, especially in environments where people are going to, might bang into them or might be throwing things at them. Yeah, that's helpful. But if we start to hear, some more questions like that, maybe we'll start to think about it. But at this point, I think people seem to like the heavy gauge steel.
Extremely durable. Extremely durable. Here's a question. When we have an opportunity, can we get protection for the account? I can answer that we do have project registration through Starin. We can also allow, I'll send everybody details on that in our follow-up email to everybody. Here's a nice question. Can you use external speakers?
Yeah.
I've
been talking too much.
Right. Yeah, many of the products, many of the models, they do support that. If you want to, there's a few different ways. Some of the devices you can actually take out a second speaker channel, and it's mono, so it's going to both the speaker that's inside the unit and an external one. There's also line out capabilities on almost all of our devices. If you want just line out, you can get our Zone C2 zone controller product. So that can then feed a line level signal to an amplifier array with other speakers. So there's a support for legacy type analog speakers in that respect. So there's a lot of different flexibility with adding additional speakers. We
also have another new device that we sort of introduced at the GSX. It wasn't as exciting as the HD, but there are some people who do like the idea of it, and it's basically an IP module. We call it our IP speaker module, and it's basically the same size as the panic button, except it drives a single traditional analog speaker. So if you have a site that maybe wants to start doing IP, but they don't want to like convert all their speakers to buy all new IP speakers, maybe they just want to put up a couple displays to start, then they can convert their current IP speakers to their current analog speakers, to IP by putting one of these modules on each device, and then that each speaker becomes its own IP endpoint with that product. So, and that's going to be priced basically the same as the IP button.
Okay, got it. Oh, this is great. How do we go about receiving a consultation about a specific set of options and costs for a school? We have a configurator on our portal that you put in, you answer the questions, everything from dimensions to size and number of rooms and the like, and it'll create a quote on the other end of that. Again, another thing that we will include in our follow-up email to you, so you can see a link of how that works. Makes it very, very handy. Asks all the questions that you should be asking also. Oh, good one here. Can your products be used in an outdoor environment?
Yes, currently we have two products that will function outdoors. One is our outdoor speaker. It's a compressed horn, and so a lot of schools are using that on their playgrounds, and it is fully IP. It is rated for outdoor use. The other one is the one I just mentioned, the IP speaker module that is rated for both indoors and outdoors. So if you had a horn, for example, that you wanted to convert in your parking lot to IP, then you could use that, that device as well.
Good to know. Can you integrate the system into a screen like a large LED in a gymnasium or a cafeteria to display a message?
So do you mean using one of our devices in those spaces, or integrating with a device that's already there?
It's integrating, I believe, with, you know, so you've got an existing A&D system in the classrooms and the like, but maybe you've got something outside on a marquee, or you've got, you know, maybe there's an LED in the auditorium where everybody's gathered. Would you be able to integrate the message from that being shown in the other rooms onto an LED screen somewhere else?
Yeah, if it's on the network, we do have the ability to send messages to a virtual screen. And so, like if you have computers that you want to set up to receive emergency messages via Clockwise, I know we can do that with Clockwise. You can send messages to those screens. I would think that you'd be able to do the same thing to an outdoor marquee. Again, provided it's on the network and we can assign some sort of HTTP call to it or some way to like interact with it in some way. But it would basically be sending an image or an HTTP pointer or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like Dan said, primarily it's going to, the best interface is to a Windows computer that's hooked up to a display. But we could also maybe look at customization using HTTP or SNMP protocols. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, if you have a customer that's interested in that, we should probably have a call on the side, and then I would love to see that working, and then we could offer it as a full solution.
Understood. I've been reminded to remind you that we also have Stern Design Services that it can also help with quoting and design services and system design assist. Oh, does the HD device need Power over Ethernet Plus?
Yeah, it's recommended to use PoE Plus on the new HD device.
Okay.
It'll work though with the other one?
It'll work without. We're still working out the final power budget.
Yeah. So. You may just have less things that you can do at once with the regular. But yeah, we have not only the HD but our large Sign L, our large sign board. We recommend PoE Plus and our double-sided, right?
Hallway clocks.
And basically, anywhere we have two displays, it helps to have PoE Plus if you can do it. It's just not required.
Got it. Oh, this is good. How advanced are the settings for A&D, and what kind of support is available if we need extra help? Yeah, because we're an engineering-centric company, we tend to add a lot of features as much as we can. We pack into the product. So we've had to split up all of our settings. If you go to the device's web page, each device has its own web page that will present itself when you go to it. It's HTTP link in a browser. You can see there's a lot of different settings. We have them split out into 10 different areas. So there's a lot of options there. We have reference documentation for that. There's also online help links to describe most of those settings within the device itself. But beyond that, that's part of what our tech support team does, is if there's any questions on how to implement something, we're here to help with that. And